Alright, I know there were some struggles with the activity for obscured words, so I decided to do a little quick video walkthrough for you. So we start with the problem in our input and output. So a problem is figure out the hidden word, guess letter by letter. Your input are the letter guesses from the user, and our output is the guessed word so far, the number of remaining guesses, all letters guessed so far, and whether the user won or lost. So we analyze our requirements as use a string with blanks to track the guessed word. So that's a hint we're going to need some kind of string with blanks. We're going to need to use a list to track the guessed letters. So we have a string with blanks, we have a list of letters. Don't let the users guess more than the same letter once. So we know we're going to have to use some kind of query to see if a letter's in the list. Subtract letter guesses if the user guesses a letter that's not in the word. So we need some sort of countdown for the strikes, and then print a different output depending on whether they've guessed or not. So the library TS word list has a select method that returns a string. It returns a random word from a list of words. So we use these section headings as clues, and we make sure we use our little circles with hints. So how is the program able to choose a random word, import the library? So we start with import TS word list. And then the second section is our word selection, and our hint says, how will the program track whether the users guessed the word? Select a word from the library and create a new string that has a dash. So select the word from the library and create a new string. So we're going to need two strings here, one for the secret word, TS word list dot select, and then we need our word with the blanks. So I'm going to call it blank word. And it needs to have a blank for every letter. So the easiest way to do that is to create a blank, and if I want it spaced out, I can do the blank space. And then I can multiply that by the length of secret word. And just for fun right now, I'm going to print both of those things. And run the code. And it's a good idea to leave this first print secret word while you're testing your code, so you're not having to guess what the word is as you're choosing letters that are there and aren't there. Just go ahead and leave that printed until the end. It's a good troubleshooting. So I see equip is my word, and I get EQUIP. So I get one blank for each letter. So that works great. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the print for the blank there. So I've got my two words. Now I need my list for my guessed letters. So I'll say guessed letters equals an empty list, because we haven't guessed anything yet. Alright, so it's blank again because we haven't guessed anything yet. And then I need my strikeouts. So strikes equals 10. Now I need to keep running this loop. If we run the sample program a few times, we know that it runs until either you've guessed it right or you're out of strikes. So I'm going to base my while condition on my strikes. So while strikes are greater than 0. And I'm going to come all the way down to the end, my final output. I know that win or lose, I'm going to print the secret word. So I'm going to say print the secret word was plus secret word. Okay. So while the strikes are greater than 0, I'm going to keep doing this. And the current state is that first initial print. And to get that first initial print, I need to be able to print the word with the blanks. So I can say print word plus blank word. Now, my secret word never changes. It always stays the same, but this blank word is going to constantly get updated. If they get a letter right, I'm going to replace the blanks with the actual letter, but if you remember that strings are immutable, I can't actually change the letters in blank word. I have to recreate it every time using a method to use concatenation. So after I've printed the word, I'm going to print, let's see, print letters guessed plus, and then I've got to typecast that list into a string. And then the strikes remaining. Print, you have plus str strikes plus remaining. Okay, and then real quick I'll talk about another technique for using concatenation inside of a print statement. The print statement allows multiple parameters that are separated by commas. So instead of pluses, I can also use commas, so that would, and it will automatically take care of the spacing for me. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. So if I says you have comma strikes, comma remaining. And now the cool thing about this version of the print statement when I'm using the commas is that I no longer have to typecast because I'm not concatenating. I'm just using multiple parameters. And it will automatically by default separate each one of these parameters with a space. So I'll get you have space strikes space remaining. Okay. Now I need to take care of my user guess. So I'll store that. Guess equals input, guess a letter. And I always like to leave a few spaces here so that when it shows up on the console, they're not butted right together. And then I'm going to use my forced correct input to take care of the requirement here that says don't let the user guess the same letter more than once. So I'm going to say while the guess is in guess letters, ask the question again. So I'll copy that question, come down here, and paste it. So I'm going to keep asking the question over and over again until they actually give me a letter that's not in the guess letters. And at that point, I know that guess is going to contain a valid letter. I could also do some other input checking, like making sure that it's a single letter and not a word by checking the length. I could also make sure that it's lowercase. There's a lot of things that you could do inside those challenges to validate that input. Okay. But now that I have their guess, I need to check through and see if it's in the thing, that it's in the secret word. So I'm going to say if guess is in secret word, then I'm going to do some other stuff. For now, I'm just going to write the word pass there. Remember, pass is just a placeholder. We learned about it like on week 1, but we don't use it a lot. So I'll come back to that in a minute. Else, their guess is not in the secret word, then I need to count down on the strikes. So I'm going to say strike minus equals 1. Okay, all right. And then out of guesses, if, now that I've counted down, I can say if strikes is 0, print you are out of guesses. And I don't have to go ahead and print the secret word because that's going to happen whether they win or lose. So if the strikes is equal to 0, then it's going to print that they lose. And then I could also do a check here to see if they won as well. I'm going to have their blank word constantly corrected with blanks. So I can trim the blank in the space out. If I go to my code assist and I look at my data types for primitives, there's some functions built into strings, and one of them is to replace. So replaces all the instance of a string or substring with a given string and return the result replace with an empty string in order to remove. So if I want to remove all of the dashes or the dashes and the spaces, I can do that. So I could come in here and say, let's check. So user word equals blank word dot replace. And the first thing I want to do this one at a time. I want to replace the dashes. So I'm going to say dash with an empty string. So that's going to remove all of the dashes. So now user word is going to have no dashes in it. And then now I want to pull out any spaces in it. I'm just trimming that word down. User word equals user word. Now notice this time I'm using user word instead of blank word. So user word equals user word dot replace any spaces with the empty string. At the end of those two lines, user word should be fully trimmed with all the spaces and the dashes removed, so I can compare. If user word is equal to secret word, print, yay, you won. Okay, so that takes care of my ending conditions. The only thing left to do is to take care of that pesky little blank word. So if the guess is in the secret word, what I need to do is loop through every letter of the secret word and see if the guess is there. If the guess is there, I'm going to replace it. So if the guess, the first thing I want to do is set blank word back to nothing. So I told you, we can't replace a single letter, but we can rebuild that word from nothing. So I can set it back to nothing, and then I'm going to loop for letter in secret word. If the letter is equal to the guess, before I even do that, I need to add it to my list of guessed letters, and I need to do that in a mist too. I'm going to do that right here before I even check. So I'm going to say guessed letters dot append guess. That's going to put it in the thing. So for every letter in secret word, if that letter is in the guessed letter list, then I'm going to write the letter to blank word. I'm going to add that letter to blank word. So blank word plus equals letter plus that space. If it's not in the guessed letter, I got to put the blank back. So blank space blank. Okay. So if guess is in the secret word, get rid of that extra line there. If guess is in the secret word, the blank word, reset the blank word. Loop through every letter in the secret word. If the letter has already been guessed, then add that letter to your blank word. Remember, blank word's what's being shown at the beginning. If the letter's not in the guessed letters, then keep it as a blank. So we have to add that blank back to our blank word. At the end of this loop, blank word will now be a correct representation of what they've guessed and what they haven't. If they get it wrong, if guess is not in the secret word, then count off a strike. So let's test it and fix any logic. So our word is thumb screw. Remember, we left that in for testing. So we can come down here and let's guess an X because we know there's no X. So the only thing I'm not doing, let me fix that real quick, is I'm not printing them a message that says that word wasn't there. So strikes -1, and I also want to print that letter is not in the word. And then I want to print a blank line just for fun. Alright, so let's try it one more time. Affix. So this time let's guess a Z. That letter is not in the word. Gives me my blanks back. It adds the Z to the letters guessed. Now I only have 9. Asks for me to guess the letter again. So let's guess the X. So X got added to the list. No strike taken off. And notice the blank has been replaced. I did not win. So F. Both F's show up. A shows up. I shows up. And it says you won. Now, because of where the you win check is, it is actually, I'm going to have to hit enter one more time. Oh, I shouldn't. Yeah, I just haven't added the break yet. So let's go ahead and fix that. Yay, you won, then needs to lose the while loop. Otherwise, it's going to make me keep missing until I get the strikes. So print yay, you won, and then break. So let's test it one more time. G, L, Y, P, H. Yay, you won. Secret word was glyph. Program ended. Okay. So that's it.